Now, do you prefer Mr. Cunningham, Coach Peter, Coach Pete, or do you have another nickname that you prefer?
Coach is fine. Like a physician being called doctor.
All right, Coach, you ready to get started? All right, for sure. Can you talk about the mental aspect of it? Because I think that sometimes people that look from the outside into this sport, some of them don't realize that this sport might be 80% mental.
Oh, I don't know the percentages, but I know that in your head, you got to win in your head before you can win on the mat, and that goes with a lot of things. If you don't have confidence to do something, it's not going to happen. So just to get back to kind of the violence thing, if you think it's violent, okay, or you think that your son or daughter or anybody has trouble with that sort of thing, well, what better way to get that kind of energy out than someplace that's controlled, someplace you're going to learn to use that energy for something positive rather than bottling it all up. You've got a way to physically get some emotional anger out and it be in a positive way. And it's not going to give you the head impacts that a lot of other sports that kind of are more combat or contact kind of have right now that a lot of people are afraid of. But I would just encourage anyone who's having reservations to see for themselves firsthand and try it out. I mean, some people might try it out and be like, this ain't for me, and that's fine. But if you're considering it, there's no better way to find out than to just give it a shot.
That's awesome. That's awesome. In closing, in your opinion, what needs to happen for more Detroit public schools to become interested in offering wrestling as a sport and for more youngsters in Detroit to be motivated to participate in the sport of wrestling so that it's a situation where you have Mumford versus Cass, you have Cass versus King, and these rivalries start to develop in terms of the sport of wrestling. What do you think needs to happen for something like that to come to fruition?
Well, I'll refer back to one of the guys who's one of the best collegiate wrestlers of all time, Mark Torella, and a real advocate for us. He's the chairman of Beat the Streets Detroit and also just an individual contributor to our efforts at Mumford. And he said, with the right human and financial capital, anything's possible with this sport. But you need the human capital, that is, there need to be people there who are motivated to do this. And financially, they can't be sitting there dipping into their own pocketbooks every few seconds or thinking about how much of a sacrifice it is for them financially to be doing this. So pay the people who love it to do what they love, but find the people who love it and put them in a position where they can succeed. With Beat the Streets Detroit, I've had access to great assistant coaches, guys with great wrestling background. Mike Conflitti is a guy who's been kind of the go-to from Beat the Streets for me, and he just has a great network of people because you can't just do it all on your own. You need to have people helping you, and if there's going to be just a mountain of things that have to get bought and get done, and if there's money there to help and there's people there to execute it, once the money's in place, then everything else will fall into place. The great thing about wrestling, just in my experience, is that rivalries are more partnerships than in any other sport I've been a part of. And, as a writer, I've seen all sports. And then as a participant, like I played soccer and baseball and stuff growing up. And in those sports, it was always the teams that we didn't like we truly didn't like them. And even though they're across town, we would never actually hone our skills against them or except for in competition. Whereas wrestling, it seems like you call the coach, even though he's your biggest rival down the street, and be like, hey man, we got a kid who's got a chance to do something great, and so do you. And these kids will be better off if they can practice with each other a couple times a week. And people make that happen in wrestling. They don't look at it as an affront to their, dominance. It's a, hey, this is how I'm going to get better. So I don't think that happens in other sports like it does in wrestling. So creating those quote unquote rivalries, you're really creating partnerships in people's success.
That's awesome, Coach. Now, Just before we let you go, I know you guys are. It's February, so people are getting tuned up. If any of your guys, any of your wrestlers, happen to catch this interview on YouTube, what would you say to them to encourage them in terms of their preparation moving forward?
Just half of life is showing up. I mean, you show up on time, ready to work, and you get done. Like, I'm looking at our district on Wednesday, and I think if we show up, we got all our weights in order, we can win. And that goes for a lot of people. A lot of people get in their head about, oh, I didn't have success at this tournament Saturday, so I'm going to take the day off Monday and kind of sulk about it or whatever it is. It's like, if you just keep showing up, things are going to get better. That goes with work, that goes with life, goes with wrestling, that goes with relationships. If you just, instead of getting discouraged, you just keep showing up, like, things are going to figure themselves out for the better, I think. We just got to have people show up, and we'll figure it out.
All right, Coach. I appreciate your time. And who are you taking in the Super Bowl?
I think the Rams, man. And then I saw the story yesterday, and I think like half of their or 3/4 of their linemen are former wrestlers. So now I'm really pulling for them.
All right. Well, when this comes out, we'll see whether you were on point or not.